Hello everyone, this is Kodak giving you Game 2 in a best of 7 series between EG and Team Liquid. We have EG StrifeCro spawning on the north side of the map as the yellow Zerg player. Meanwhile, we have Liquid HayprO spawning as the purple Zerg. I know it says Liquid TLO, but it is going to be actually Liquid HayprO. I think HayprO is just borrowing TLO's account for this particular matchup. So, yeah, Zelnaga Caverns, there are only 2 spawning locations here, and it will be another Zerg versus Zerg mirror match. I'm not exactly sure why so many Zerg players decided to play on Blistering Sands and Zelnaga Caverns, but it did mean that there are a lot of mirror matches on those first 2 maps so far, and we'll see if we have another quick game or if we'll actually get past Roaches, Zerglings, and Banelings. So sorry, I'm going to screw this up a lot just because I know TLO also plays Zerg as well. He plays random, so yeah, HayprO on the south side, taking a look at the production tab. Both players pretty much doing the same exact build so far. So not much really happening. Both players deciding to get a very, very strong economy. And really where things will start to deviate is whether or not they're going to go for a spawning pool first, extractor first, or a hatchery first. Spawning pool first normally means you want to get your queen out a little bit more quickly. Extractor first, like we see HayprO doing, means that you want to get that metabolic boost faster and try to use those Zerglings very, very effectively. And finally, hatchery first normally means that you want a very strong economy going into the game. You now see both sides now getting down those spawning pools, and now you see StrifeCro a little bit late on his extractor. I don't know if that was by design or if you just want so in order to mine more minerals and be able to get that spawning pool a little bit more quickly, or if that was a little bit of a lapse in judgment. We'll see. I don't know the timings exactly on every single build. Something that I would never really know, as StarCraft is a game that's very fluid. Builds change almost monthly in terms of what players think are the best in order to deal with what the current metagame is out there. So both players, HayprO and StrifeCro, now going for that one extractor into a spawning pool, will be able to get strong economies, or sorry, strong speedlings early in the game, and then push out and deal a lot of damage. So metabolic boost already coming in from HayprO. Meanwhile, StrifeCro doesn't have that metabolic boost just quite yet, just because he delayed his extractor a little bit, and now you can see him finally getting caught up. It is about 10 seconds behind, but that shouldn't make that much of a difference. And now you also see StrifeCro going into a Roach Warren. This is a bit of a surprise, as he did invest the 100 gas into that metabolic boost. Normally, if you normally in a Zerg versus Zerg mirror match, if I see a Roach Warren go down this early, the gas is normally saved up in order to get some more Roaches, as opposed to getting that speedling boost. So we'll see if that really pays off for him, as we have some nice Zergling micro out in the midfield. 3 Zerglings against 2 now, and able to finish that off, and now it's 2 Zerglings against 1, and down it goes. So 3 Zerglings lost compared to 4, and let's see if StrifeCro will be able to move out and press that advantage once again, as those Zerglings are going to now try to walk up that ramp. 4 Zerglings now coming around the corner and able to start pecking apart, and who will get that metabolic boost first? It looks like HayprO will get that metabolic boost just a little bit more quickly, and that should give him an advantage. Now Zerglings trying to walk up that ramp. There is a queen offering some protection already, and you also see a Baneling nest coming into play. So Banelings will be coming out in just a moment, and it looks like StrifeCro's decision in order to go for Roaches is going to become a very, very strong play, as Banelings are not effective against Roaches. Zerglings now trying to fight back once again. This queen on creep, able to deal some damage, and now HayprO giving chase against those Zerglings. Zerglings deciding to back off. 5 Roaches are now being trained up. They should be sitting on this ramp in just a moment, and I believe as soon as those Roaches sit on that ramp, those Zerglings will not be able to run by as long as they are positioned correctly. And if they are positioned correctly, those Roaches are going to be able to hold off against a very, very large number of Zerglings, and many of those Zerglings are in the red or dead. We now also see a hatchery coming down over here by HayprO, so HayprO now trying to get that economic advantage. Meanwhile, we see that StrifeCro is instead going for the tech advantage, already going into tier 2, and now getting another extractor up. The only reason why he is able to run off of 1 hatchery in StarCraft 2 is because of this queen. This queen essentially allows you to get an additional 6 larvae every minute. As long as averaged over time, it really is 4 larvae every 40 seconds, but averaged over time, and this means that on average you will get about 10 larvae every minute if you stay up on top of that spawn larva, and that really helps out with the production on the hatchery, increasing that production by about 150%. Back over here, HayprO's hatchery is nearing completion. A queen is all ready to give it some love and being able to spawn more larvae the instant that hatchery is completed. And I believe HayprO will decide to power drone up in just a moment. HayprO also getting up the tech to tier 2 hatchery almost done, and now going for that roach warren. We also see burrow and now the movement speed upgrades for those roaches, so those roaches are going to be able to play whack-a-mole against those zerglings while regenerating a lot of hit points. More roaches are trying to make their way out. One overlord is trying to suicide its way inside the space, try to figure out what exactly is happening. He does see a roach warren, he does see a spawning pool. There is no Hydralisk den just quite yet, so Mutalisk play may be possible coming in from HayprO, as HayprO is going to be running off of 2 extractors in just a moment. And Mutalisk, with that very, very fast movement speed and the ability to attack air and ground, would put a lot of harassment potential on the main base and eventually the expansion over here. I am surprised that StrifeCro is still sitting on 1 base at this time. He hasn't even tried to push out with this army just quite yet. He knows that there is a swarm of zerglings here, 15 outside, just outside his natural expansion, with this one overlord spawning this. But he has not decided to move out at any time. More roaches finally on the move, and the roaches should be getting that movement speed upgrade in just a moment. Roach is now trying to deal some damage, and I believe the zerglings are just going to be forced to return home, knowing that they're not going to be able to deal all too much damage. More roaches now coming in army-wise. You can see StrifeCro sitting with a very, very much larger army, and now zerglings deciding to run back up that ramp. We do see a couple of roaches now sitting over here, and the zerglings trying to come in single file, and that's going to be very, very bad, as we are now also getting tunneling claws. Zerglings now engaging over here. Roaches coming back over here, dealing damage as well. Roaches coming in. A lot of those zerglings just getting tied up upon themselves. As there are now roaches coming in over here, there's going to be a lot of roaches from StrifeCro, and these roaches from StrifeCro should be able to focus down many of the roaches from HayprO, and this is not looking good. However, HayprO is getting a lot of reinforcements, and as long as we start to play whack-a-mole with these roaches, a lot of damage could be dealt. And now the roach is trying to pull back once again, trying to deal more damage, now being pulled back, and now burrowing. The Overseer does take a little bit of time, so this will allow StrifeCro to start to regenerate those hit points. And will it help out enough? No tunneling claws. Those roaches are now trying to come back out, trying to deal more damage. They should be able to pop out in another second. There we go. They are taking damage, and these StrifeCro roaches need to fight back. Perhaps to fight another day. They are going to focus down more and more of those roaches. And now those roaches, with that movement speed, able to get back into this game. Currently sitting on 9 roaches, and now tunneling claws should be coming online in just a moment. There is one overseer. The roach is trying to go in, perhaps going to try to snipe down that one queen. More roaches fighting back. The roaches over here do have movement speed upgrades as well. So both sides, both roaches are moving very, very quickly, and as soon as tunneling claws are completed, those roaches are going to be able to regenerate very, very quickly. Now they do have tunneling claws, able to deal a lot of damage, and now being able to pull back and attack once again. More roaches are very, very low on hit points. Down goes another one there. So this is going to be a roach battle. But with tunneling claws and with burrow, I believe StrifeCro does have a little bit of an advantage. He does have an overseer though, and the regeneration is only about 10 per second, so it does not help out when roaches are focus firing against these other roaches. Roaches once again back trying to swarm together, and now burrowing. StrifeCro could get a lot of mileage out of these roaches, as now StrifeCro is starting to set up this expansion finally. Over here on the north side, both sides mining about the same, as there are not that many drones over here coming in from HayprO. HayprO sitting, or now just trying to train up more roaches, training up 4 roaches army-wise. 1825 versus 1725. This game is very even, but HayprO finally no longer supply locked, should be able to train up more units as well. We should be seeing some power droning as StrifeCro now comes in along the far side over here with these roaches. Roaches were able to deal some damage, and now going to try to back off once again. Are these roaches going to come in over here from the main door? Yes, they're going to come in from the main door, but they're not going to be able to squeeze through, as the army of HayprO once again re-engaging over here. We do see an overlord from HayprO sitting in this position now, seeing that there is an expansion trying to be set up, and no Hydralisk just quite yet. This is very interesting that roaches are the only units that I've really seen so far coming in from both of these players. Hydralisks do have higher DPS, but they have less hit points, but Hydralisks also have much further range, so roaches and Hydralisks combined would help out much in this battle. The roaches are going to be popping out in just a second, trying to deal some damage towards these drones, and perhaps, yeah, going to start sniping many of those drones. Drones have taken a lot of damage, and now those roaches are going to try to run away once again, and now HayprO is just losing many of his drones, but losing many of his drones, he does have an additional hatchery, so he has that advantage still compared to the 23 drones of StrifeCro. And as soon as StrifeCro gets this hatchery set up, he should be able to start power droning and get back into this game, economically speaking. Level 1 missile upgrade now coming online. HayprO now training up more drones and more roaches. Meanwhile, StrifeCro only training up drones at this stage, as the roaches are now trying to move out once again, now trying to snipe down many of these creep tumors. Not quite sure why you would destroy creep tumors as a Zerg player, as it gives you advantage, but I guess you do not want to give your opponent any additional sight if you could avoid it. Back over here, more roaches. Once again, we're trying to test the waters, trying to put pressure over here. And this is going to force HayprO to keep an army over here right by this brush. It has to stay here and cannot move out just because of the number of times StrifeCro was able to snipe down 3 or 4 drones. Taking a look at the harvester advantage right now, 42 though for HayprO, 28 for StrifeCro. StrifeCro needs the power drone to get back into this game. He is now getting 5 additional drones and also getting an infestation pit. With that infestation pit, he will be able to tech to tier 3 and now continuing the power drone as well. So 5 more drones are currently being trained. Meanwhile, HayprO is now power roaching, getting up 8 additional roaches at this time. And now you can see the army advantage, 3250 compared to 2850, as HayprO did have a much larger economic lead. Both sides sitting about 40 roaches at this point. And now you see HayprO trying to snipe down these destructible rocks, but now more roaches coming in. Very, very nice move by HayprO, deciding to pull back for just a moment there. Doesn't want to try to take down these rocks as roaches are trying to come in. And now, I still don't see tunneling claws, but HayprO, with that level 1 missile upgrade, should be able to start dealing a lot of damage against the roaches of StrifeCro, and that is going to pay off in full. StrifeCro finally getting that Zerg level 1 missile upgrades, and now we also see infestors coming into play. Infestors with that pathogen gland, allowing those infestors to start off with 75 energy instead of just 50, allowing them the fungal growth the moment that they are able to come out. We now see queens. No, it looked like the queen was trying to set up another spawn larva, will not be able to, as a creep tumor, and now Roach is trying to re-engage over here. Both sides going to be able to deal a lot of damage, and now those infestors do not have enough for a fungal growth just quite yet, and the timing on this attack could not be more perfect by HayprO. HayprO needs to time this attack absolutely perfect. He does have the level 1 missile upgrade, and that is going to give him an advantage, and now in comes some infested Terran. So infested Terrans are starting to be hatched. Roach is trying to fight back and forth. Roaches are now starting to get just tied up on each other, as what HayprO does have 1 overseer in the air with no fungal growth. This is going to be a problem, as many of those roaches are just simply be able to move around wherever they want to be. Very, very fast moving units. And now StrifeCro says GG. So that was just a very, very nice massing of units coming in from HayprO. I thought the timing was perfect, just because if he had waited about 10 to 15 seconds, the fungal growths would have stopped this army cold. By splitting up that army, that roach ball would have been half its size and would not have been able to deal nearly as much damage. So during that time, when HayprO was able to get his level 1 missile upgrades on those roaches and then push, it was also the perfect time because the infestors did not have enough energy. Perhaps if the pathogen glands was researched first before those infestors came out to play, this would have been a completely different game. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 matchup here in the Xel'Naga Caverns between EG and Team Liquid.